Pottery. My name is Denise, and we are going to be embellishing pottery today with different things. So I've used many different things. This pottery has been carved on the bottom and then sgraffitoed on the top, which just means to be etched away. And then I pre-drilled holes in it, and we are going to be adding pine needles that I've soaked overnight to it. And there's a lot of different ways you can embellish. I've used beads with the pine needles. I've used deer horns on pottery before. You can do a lot of different unique things with pottery. So that's the fun thing, is clay is very versatile and you can do a lot of different kind of unique things that are more towards you. You could make them with other different pieces of basketry weaving. I've only ever done the pine needles just because, I don't know, there's something very organic about it, and I love it. Now these pine needles are not from West Virginia. They are from South Carolina. And so we are going to be weaving them around the top. Now you can break the ends off or cut them off. I'm actually leaving them on because for the look that I want, I need them. So we are going to take our thread. And you need something really coarse. Now you can actually purchase thread that is for pine needle basketries. This is actually just hemp that I'm using because we just moved and I can't find very many things. So I'm still looking through boxes of stuff. And so let me see where I want to start. We'll start right here. So I'm having trouble finding things, unfortunately. That's what happens when you move. So, okay, so you just take a bundle like this and you hold it, and now you want it to be on the top lip. So you will put that back through just a hair. Okay. There we go. So you will take your hemp or your thread and you'll pull through, and then you'll position it exactly how you want it, and then you'll pull tight, just like that. And then when we get, we'll do each loop, and then when you get back around and you redo it, you actually loop back through the piece that you have already done it on. So we will go through the next one, and we'll keep doing it. A little backstory about how I got started in pottery was I just took an evening workshop class that was once a week for I think 6 weeks at a time, and I did that for on and off for a year and just kind of fell in love with pottery. And then my husband ended up getting me a wheel, and from there a kiln, and then it just kind of grew into obsession. So we will having our new studio soon, I'm hoping. It's ready, it just needs organized and all the good stuff here at our new farm. So I'm hoping there'll be lots of new goodies for me to use to embellish and to use. One neat thing to embellish pottery with is to, and I love this, when the clay is, you know, not dry, but it's not real wet, you want to roll it out, but picking wildflowers and different herbs, and I even like weeds. I mean, if it's pretty, I like it. So, and then you can impress that on it, so you can use that on platters, pretty much anything, do the impression. I always like to write at the bottom of it what it is, so that whoever purchases that piece will know. Like if you use lavender, you know, it's nice. And then I like to use, you know, a color that is suitable to go along with it. So we are, can you see that well? So as you can see, we're going right along. And I like how the thread kind of mimics the design on here. And that's a happy coincidence. I didn't expect that. So, you know, we love it when that kind of stuff happens. Now we are getting very close to where we will have to combine the next bundle. And that's always, to me, a little bit on the tedious side. You have to be really careful too that your pine needles don't want to roll inside too much. At least I do. I have a little bit of an issue with that. So we are going to get ready. Snag. We're going to get ready for that to happen right here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in just so I have a little bit of a loop there, and I have one broke. So we're going to, trim that off. Trim whatever that up is. You know, willow branches work really well if you can get them small enough. Let me think what else. Any kind of tree that, doesn't rot real easy but can bend, anything that they can make baskets out of, especially natural. American Indians, that's a great place to learn about basket making. I have several books on Appalachian basket making from American Indians and also Southwest. I think that they obviously have a lot to teach us, and that seems to be where my go-to is for most of these things. And there's nothing wrong with getting inspiration and ideas from other areas. So that's one thing I like about my pottery is more art pottery. I mean, it's usable. I mean, I make platters and bowls and pitchers and cups and all that. But I really love to add the artistic factor into each thing. So I want mine to be something that you're gonna have for a long time. It has a story behind it. Each piece just means something, and I think that's really important. That's when you know there's a difference between a craft and an art, by not only what it means to the artist that's making it, but what it makes you experience and what it makes you feel when you get to experience it. And this one is got a little bit of glaze still in it, so let me work that out. And sometimes that happens, and I should have caught that ahead of time, and I didn't. Okay. So, pull that tight again. And as you can see, let me show you this again. This is where I left out those. Now, it might look odd right now. It won't when we're finished because the sprays will be kind of all over the piece of pottery. So I don't know if we'll have enough time for me to go very high. And plus this piece is really small, and I don't think it warrants getting a really high. Why is it not wanting to go there? You know, if you had a much larger piece, which I've made much bigger bowls, you could work it really high. I think you want to stay in the comfort zone in what feels natural to the piece that you're working with. I think that is a very important thing. So now here we are. This is where we start going back through the loop. And then we'll pull it back up. Now, I am sure there's lots of people that do baskets that probably do this in a different way. This is how I was taught, so this is kind of how I do it. And then, okay, now as you can see, we have these, and that's okay. You want these to be all different lengths because that's how, when you're adding more, show you here. And I'm only doing 4 to 5 of these at a time. I think, let's do 4 actually. I think you can get too many. So let's pull this loop up just a hair. Okay. And then we are going to work in a couple strands at a time here. Actually, let's go one more loop before we do that. I think one a little bit tighter. And then we are Now this is where it gets very time consuming because you want to do it right. You don't want random threads kind of hanging all over. And if you do, that's there. That's okay. It's whatever you really like, and what makes your piece you. So, there you go. And okay, well, apparently not as close as I thought, so we're gonna keep on going for just a second. I get ahead of myself sometimes, and I think I'm a little bit like a squirrel. Sometimes I get on one project, and before that project's finished, I want to move on over to the next tree, to the next step. So that's a occupational hazard for me. So there we go. So as you can see, we're actually starting to get somewhere with this. And you're going to add more. So let's go ahead and add these on. And we'll go back over, come through. Sorry, that's my dog. Oliver. Shh. Now, as you can see, it starts getting a little difficult with this thread. That's why I really do prefer the waxed thread that you can get with this versus the hemp, but like I said, most of my stuff is still in boxes. It's a work in progress to get it all maneuvered out. There we go. So, and then we'll go to the next one. And so on until we get to the desired height. And I hope you guys can still see this very well. Sorry. Get new piece of twine. So we are going to just keep doing this. You want to make sure while you're doing that you keep these soaking in water. Now when you are finished completely with the piece, that is when some extra care comes in for the pine needles. You will have to actually seal them with a lacquer finish. You can do semi-gloss, gloss, whatever your preference is, but you definitely need to make sure that happens. That keeps them protected. And I retreat mine every so often, just to keep them, one, new looking, and two, to keep them from getting too brittle. Because they're pine needles, they do dry out, just kind of like a basket does. I don't know if you can treat them with like anything else. That's what I've always been told to do, was just to shine them up with some lacquer, and I normally use a high gloss when I do it. I think it just kind of attracts your eye to it a little bit better. I wish I had some beads so I could show you guys how to add some beading to this, because beads make it so pretty. Maybe next time. I'll have a studio ready, everything will be there, and we'll be able to do a little bit of everything that we want to do on this. So I actually kind of thought I would have it set up before now, but it didn't happen. It's kind of why I've kind of been putting off some things to get it ready. start to dry out as you're working with them. Ideally, you should have a water bottle, just so that you can spritz it again. I'm also working on this in the house. Normally, I do this outside, where you can make a mess, spray water, and not feel like it's, getting all over everything. So you just continue to keep doing it until you get the height that you want, and I'm gonna just keep going a little bit here. So I like to, with pottery, think outside the box. And so many people assume that pottery is just making cups, making plates, platters, which is, those are great things. I make lots of those. They're quick to sell. However, how you finish them is kind of the key for me. Is I just want each piece to be one of a kind, unique piece of art. I think that it means something more to the person when they have that much more work in it, or if they're purchasing it from an artist and they have a little bit of the backstory and they can see that it's not just the same thing that other, that you can walk in an art show and, 4 booths pretty much have the same things, just different coloring and stuff like that. I want mine to be completely different than everybody else. And it may be just because I get bored easily, which I do. I like texture. I like texture. I like coloring. I like anything that kind of resembles nature. I much more prefer to be outside versus inside any given day. So I think that those are just things that add to that. Plus my mom is an artist. She, she still is. She's 83 and still paints every day. But I think it comes from just growing up in that atmosphere. And I had lots of brothers who took me fishing, a husband who's taken me hunting, and I think you just get an appreciation for the outdoors and the beauty of it. And we hike a lot. And I think, and I love to incorporate, and I wish I had some to show you, but little sticks with little tiny pine cones on them that you can, they're obviously not the most flexible things, but they are really fantastic on a piece of pottery, so, and I think, you could display them proudly. So I want, the idea is for you to have fun with it. That's the whole goal. If you're not having a good time and it's not fun, I wouldn't bother, truthfully. It just, life is way too short to not enjoy everything. And if it ends up looking a little haphazard, that's okay. It's got to be organically. It's got to be neat to, put your own spin on it. So what my goal here is to try to replicate what the branches look like that I carved in here. So I am going a little bit willy-nilly all over the place, but that's okay. That's the look I'm headed for. So if it's coming together nicely, then that's awesome. I wish I had one of those to show you, but I don't. And I'm getting confused. There we go. will say one thing, this is rough on your fingers. These are not the most forgiving pine needles. I'm not real sure what tree they're off of. You know, I actually get mine from a lady on Etsy who sells them for this reason. You can get them dyed in different colors and all kinds of cool stuff, but I like the more natural look for me. Plus, if I pair it with a deer horn or pine cones or beads, I think I want the focus to be kind of more up towards the pottery versus the pine needles. So, if you ever get a chance to look at pine needle baskets, if you find an artist that just primarily that's what they work on, it's amazing. I know that some do it with the short needles. I saw some of those out west when we were in the Durango, Colorado area, and I still can't figure out how they use those little teeny tiny pine needles. And it was some American Indians ancestry that was making them, and just was fantastic. And I still wish I would have picked up one or two of them. You know, it was one of those things. I'll get it on my way back through. Didn't do it. So now I want to show you, like here, like where I'm making the turn, there's some little pieces sticking out. You can just trim them. Really forgiving. So. As you can see, we're actually, it's starting to take shape here. I'll get a little closer so you guys can look at it. You can see what it looks like on the top. So it's really cool looking, I think. So that's pretty much how you do it, and you just keep going until you decide you're finished, and then you just tie it off. Like I said, you want to spray it with a lacquer, so you want to make sure that that's taken care of. So it'll be sealed, and when it's finished, it'll be for sale at Artistry on Main in Buchanan. So if you've never been into Artistry on Main in Buchanan, some absolutely amazing artists are represented there. I'm very fortunate to be considered one of the group there. So, but we have amazing potters and jewelers and basket makers and soap makers and people that make lotion and paintings, and just I don't know, the list just literally goes on and on of everything that there's represented in Artistry on Main in Buchanan. And it's all local artists, which is, to me, fantastic. We have such an amazing group of artists in our area, and to get to see some of them represented in a local store is a very unique thing. Definitely visit Artistry on Main, especially if you're looking for a gift. And hopefully next time I will be a little bit better set up for you guys, and we can visit maybe some of the grounds on the farm and pick up some of those herbs and stuff, and maybe put them into some slab pottery. Touch base on that a little bit, and I am having an awful time here. probably continue to go up just a hair more and kind of pull it together so it's more narrow at the top. But this gives you an idea of what it's gonna